meditation allows you to connect with your spirit, connect with your breath, and spirit and respiration is one in the body. So if we don't have a healthy cellular respiration, we don't have healthy functioning of the cell. And a lot of this has to do with mitochondria. That's where we produce most of the energy in the body, in the cell. And it's where we hold our balance and our charge, our hydration in the cell, having to do with the mitochondria. So all of this comes together, right? The spiritual, how you're thinking about your body, where you're at with that, you know. That's why I always say speak kind things to your body, because again, you could be doing all the right things in the environment and you could still secretly kind of hate yourself, you know, thinking the worst about your body, thinking I always gain weight. Just these negative thoughts, like we all have to deal with them, you know, because we're all human. Like we all have to face those dark sides. There was a quote I really like. It said, "Kiss your shadows." Kiss your shadows. You know, what are those parts of yourself that are kind of, you know, more in the negative space, parts of your personality that are in a negative place, you know, can you kiss them? Can you hold them? And can you decide to change your perception? Like, I am always working towards my perfect health. I'm always working towards my vibrancy. Every food that I indulge in, every action that I take is going towards improving my health. And this is a work in progress for me all the time. I'm in a work in progress with it. And it's going pretty good, okay? We're just taking it one day at a time. But for now, we're doing pretty good. And this is a little quote that I wrote down today as I was reading the book. It said, right-minded seeing cannot see anything but perfection. And this reminds me of like, so I work in a restaurant, I'm a server, and so like things could be just so chaotic and going wrong, you know, like we call it being in the weeds, right? You're like, everything is just like, everything that could have gone wrong is just going wrong, but it's like your perception of it, right? Like, are you actually in the weeds? You know, everything's going wrong, but here I am with all four of my limbs working perfectly, right? Here I am, I was able to drive my car to work and I was able to afford the gas in it, you know. Like man's search for meaning, like, can you find the meaning in this place? Right-minded seeing always finds perfection. So it's always about seeing the positive or the silver lining within the realm of chaos. And it says perception involves the body. So that's why I am really in tune with always trying to feed my cells with the amino and the fatty acids, because like, for instance, mitochondria, right? We just talked about the mitochondria. Like, one of the two main amino acids that we have that involve the second step of the mitochondria, if you can't get past the second step, you're not going anywhere, right? How can you complete the whole circle if you cannot get past the second step? Carnitine. So carnitine is a higher amount found in animal-based proteins. It comes from lysine and methionine, two of our essential amino acids. Essential amino acids means that you must obtain them through your diet. That's why we call them essential amino and fatty acids. This is the second step of the electron transport chain within the cell of within the mitochondria. So mitochondria is where we produce the most energy in the cell. So if we're starting to have energetic problems with fatigue, problems with our circadian rhythm, right? You're waking up and you're feeling tired, exhausted, problems with your blood sugar, right? The cell is out of energy, right? And it's so crazy because, like, think about a plant, okay? Like, a plant is doing perfectly fine. Like, it's not completely dead. If there's a few brown leaves on the plant, like, it's still alive. It's still going and doing. And that's the trickiness about our bodies, is that you could be filled halfway with brown leaves. And when I say brown leaves, I mean like dysfunctioning cells. Like, we call them senescent cells. We call them, they call them, who calls them that? I don't know, they. But we call them senescent cells. And these are cells that are not functioning properly. They're basically like on the brown leaf of a plant. You'd have these leaves and the plant would still be sending some energy to try and, you know, you're still trying to send energy. It's still part of the body of the plant, but it's not fully functioning. So that's why they say to prune the brown leaves off, right? Senescent cells in the body, we fast to get rid of cells that aren't working properly, because the more cells that we have that aren't working properly, every cell is a mirror. So every cell has a nucleus with the reflection of the genetic code that we can express. The coolest thing about our bodies is that mitochondria also have mitochondrial DNA. Okay? And so the more healthily we can be with our mitochondria by going out in the sunlight, engaging in the sunlight, infrared spectrums of light, all the spectrums of light. We communicate through the amino and fatty acids, right? Like the animal-based proteins we just talked about, carnitine, lysine, and methionine, getting healthy amounts of these amino and fatty acids, exercising, you know, and also meditating. Meditating can also help you ground the body. And but yeah, we want to have healthy reflections within the genetic code, because if we don't have healthy reflections, you're either healthy or you're not healthy. And you know, the body can live decades in a place where it's only functioning at 30% of its battery life, you know? And a lot of people do function like that. Like if you're waking up tired, if you're always like in a negative space, negative place, you know, it could be that you are not having a lot of cells that aren't working. Like if you have dry skin, dry hands, dry eyes, these are symptoms. Like your body, your intuition is saying, please, sir, ma'am, please, we need something. Please provide us with something. We are gently nudging you with this dry skin. I am gently nudging you with this constant migraines that I'm giving you. I'm gently nudging you through your back pain. Please listen, you know? But we just don't look at these signs we just look at them as problems rather than soft little messengers. And that's what they are. Your body is a beautiful intuitive guide, intuitive compass. And it's always communicating to you, it's asking you for things all the time. And it's just a matter of, do I see this through a lens of a problem, or do I see this as a lens of opportunity to do something different in my routines, in my daily life, in my habits? Your habits are your health, your habits are your perception. So it's always a guide and a compass. And I can't remember where I was saying with this, but you know, I came from a place where this was mental. Like I started working out. Why am I posting these videos? I don't even know. I started working out because I was in a negative state in my mind, and I always knew I was in a negative state with my mind, and I also was not confident in my body. I was not where I wanted to be physically, and so it started off very physical journey for me. A lot of exercise and just moving through it very long and painfully moving through it, not listening to my body. And you know, again, one day I said, wow, this has two components to it. It is what I do, but it's also how I speak to myself. It's the sunlight and the light exposure that I'm getting. It's also the chemicals in my diet, right? It's deodorants, toothpaste, laundry detergents. It's these other chemicals that I'm getting that I'm unaware of, that I'm getting in my body, my environmental stressors. And so starting to focus on that in a broad sense, like it changes your perception. Like when you feel like you have energy in your body, you're much brighter and happier. And I guess I can only speak for myself. When I feel like I have energy in my body, I feel more generous towards others. I feel happier and excited. Like, sure, it's not constant, right? Our perception always changes throughout time, but it makes a big difference, you know? It makes a big difference where you're at with your physical health, how you see the world, you know? So take your power back. If you are feeling like you're in a negative place, like nothing ever works out for you, you don't have to lie to yourself about where you're at. If you're not happy with where you're at, that's okay. You know, a few months ago, I was in a really rough spot. And for months, I just woke up. I tried to get in my meditation as quickly as possible and feed my body with the amino fatty acids, take it easy and just breathe. And I just said to myself, I am working to get stronger every single day. Every action, I was so fatigued in my body. I was fried in my nervous system. Every action that I take is for my health. Every night that I go to sleep, I am resting and repairing. And you can speak to your body. You can speak to your body. Speak to your body, because you are either saying negative things or positive things. So you might as well choose positive, right? When I'm eating my meal, thank you. I'm feeding my immune system. Thank you so much for taking care of me. You know, I'm intending for this to be everything that you need so that I can rest deeply at night. Let's say like I don't get to eat until right before bed. This meal was just what my body needed to rest as deeply as possible. Tomorrow I'm going to feel so good, you know. And so even like if you don't feel it in that immediate moment, like I am starting to feel better each day. I am seeing myself through a lens of love and lightness, you know. And your perception, like that is your health, that is your physical health, you know. And it seems like, maybe it seems woo woo if you have never tried it before, but for me, like that's what's brought me here and inspired me to make these videos and to share this, because I know a lot of people, you know, they were coming to me for physical training, and I was observing this negative mindset that they were having in their body. It doesn't matter how good your workout is, you know, if you are still hating on your body and not believing in yourself, you know, you're working against your metabolism, right? You want to get your spiritual metabolism on the same place as your physical metabolism, right? The yin and the yang, right? The Eastern approach, the body and the mind, body, mind, and spirit. So I hope this is helpful for you. Again, this book is called A Course in Miracles. It's a foundation for inner peace. It doesn't have an author. I try to read a little bit of it every day. It talks about like how the ego tries to, you know, distort our perception and kind of mess us up. Like the ego, you know, it's like those primal little desires, like it's those primal little urges, and the ego, they say, like, is always trying to sabotage us, right? It's always trying to find that little negativity, right? Because it gives it ground to hold itself. But the negativity and the fear is not real, you know? And if you're in a place where you're burnt out and fatigued and you keep encountering negative physical signs in your body, like you keep gaining weight, you know, ask yourself, like, how do you feel when these thoughts come up about your body? Like, what are you thinking about your body? Like, I need to lose this weight. I'm gaining so much weight. I hate my midsection, you know? Talk to your body like they're babies. Would you talk to your baby like that? Like, God, this baby keeps crying. I'm so annoyed with it, you know? No, like, you want to be sweet and practice your patience with yourself. Practice being there in a loving way for your body, you know, because your cells are your babies. They're trillions of babies, and they're always listening to you. Of course, that's always a practice. But anyway, if this video is helpful for you, you can like, share, and subscribe. As always, I wish you the best of luck. If there's any way I can help you, I have my email in the description. Don't hesitate to reach out. But I shall see y'all next time. So thank you for watching.